I think it's really loud and clear that what he said, he meant. And if you look at Homan's background, he was a contributor to Project 2025. He was a police officer, which I find really rich because he was appointed by a convicted felon. He also was a United States Border Patrol agent, a special agent with the former Immigration and Naturalization Service. Mm-hmm. So this is his thing. This is his background. But what I would like to point out is that there is no correlation between undocumented people and a rise in crime. That's statistically accurate. Immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are less likely to commit crimes in the United States.
They're currently tracking 425,000 non-citizens who have been convicted of a crime. Of that number, over 13,000 non-citizens have convictions for homicide and are on the non-detained docket, meaning they're roaming the country right now.
What's up, everybody? It's your girl Mika, and we're back for another Red Cup Talks, because once we got the Red Cup, we're about to spill some truth. And today I wanted to come on and talk about what everybody is talking about, the new border czar, Tom Homan. And who is talking about Tom Homan today? Our favorite Golden Girls, The View. Here we go.
We have seen one estimate that says it would cost $88 billion to deport 1 million people a year.
I don't know if that's accurate or not.
Is that what American taxpayers should expect?
What price do you put on national security? Is that worth it?
Is there a way to carry out mass deportation without separating families?
Of course there is. Families can be deported together.
I don't care what anybody's opinion is on illegal immigration. When you create a crisis this big, all these other bad things happen. That's why we have to secure the border. I don't care if you're a Republican, a Democrat, or independent. Border security is national security.
It's chilling what he just said. You realize that when he says, yes, families can be deported together, what he is saying is that U.S. citizens can be deported. What he is saying is, if the parent is undocumented and they have U.S. citizen children or U.S. citizen spouse, or and you don't want to separate them, then let's deport the U.S. citizens. Look, Donald Trump won the electoral vote. He won. He's going to win the House. He won the Senate. For all effects and purposes, he's got the Supreme Court. They've given him immunity. This is what the country voted for. This is, a lot of people thought that when he talked about mass deportations, he wasn't being serious. I don't know how many times he had to say it for people to realize he was being serious. Well, if you thought he wasn't being serious, the appointment of Tom Homan today as border czar, and he will be in charge of a mass deportation program, the largest the country has ever seen, they say. And now Stephen Miller, as deputy chief of staff, should let you know that he was absolutely serious. And when you talk about mass deportations, people think, oh, it's just going to be the criminals. There's not enough criminals, aliens.
Oh, ma'am, there's plenty. There's plenty. There's more than enough. And it's crazy, right? How The View sits here and talks about illegal immigrants as if they're not breaking the law. Oh, well, ma'am, they broke the law. They talk about them like cartel people aren't here. They talk about them as if there aren't people here that should not be here, that pose a danger to the country. There are a lot of illegals that are criminals. We have this on the record. Okay? But we'll get there.
Those of you who voted for Trump, this is what you wanted. This is what you voted for. You screwed around and you're about to find out.
Yeah, I echo all of that, right? I mean, we get the government that we vote for as a country, and the majority of the country apparently voted for this. And, I think it's really loud and clear that what he said, he meant. And if you look at Homan's background, he was a contributor to Project 2025. He was a police officer, which I find really rich because he was appointed by a convicted felon. He also was a United States Border Patrol agent, a special agent with the former Immigration and Naturalization Service. So this is his thing. This is his background. But what I would like to point out is that there is no correlation between undocumented people and a rise in crime. That's statistically accurate. Immigrants, including undocumented immigrants, are less likely to commit crimes in the United States.
Okay, so Sonny and Anna, they're both just a bunch of liars. They haven't even told the truth about the statistical data that's out now and the data from when Trump was in office before and the data even from when Barack Obama was in office. But we're going to go to that right now. Here we go.
Learned from the acting ICE director via this letter to Congressman Tony Gonzalez is right now there are over 13,000 illegal aliens convicted of homicide who are roaming the United States right now. There are another 15,811 illegal aliens roaming the country right now who have been convicted of sexual assault. And there are even more who are facing charges for homicide and charges for sexual assault. So this just goes to show, guys, the non-detained docket has exploded under the Biden administration to over, I believe it's 7.3 million. They're anticipating it could hit 8 million by the end of the year. But looking at the numbers on this letter right here, there are currently over 600,000 non-citizens on ICE's non-detained docket who are either convicted, or 600,000 non-citizens on this non-detained docket who are roaming the country right now. Of that, 425,000 have already been convicted of crimes. 222,000 are pending crimes. And again, the most serious crimes we just told you about, over 13,000 convicted of homicide, over 15,000 convicted of sexual assault. And honestly, that is not a surprise to hear given these horrible headlines we keep seeing popping up in multiple parts of the country almost every day now of a horrible sexual assault or a murder or another violent felony committed by an illegal alien who is often caught and released from custody.
But yet, Sonny will tell you that they're likely not to commit any crimes, that they don't do anything, that statistically they barely do anything. So I don't know what we're up in arms about. This is why the mainstream media, the legacy media is dying, because independent sources like myself and others who are very good at just researching. I mean, and most of the stuff, you don't even have to research that hard. You can literally just go and type it in. All you have to do is look for the information. These people on the legacy media, they want to protect the incumbent, okay? They want to protect Democrats. They want to keep all of this secret. But those are the facts.
I think this notion of really is about otherization of people. I think it's about a culture war. And I'm sad for the country, quite frankly.
Well, I think that the weaponizing of immigrants or equating immigrants to criminals was feeding off people's fears because the statistics don't support that. But there is a problem at the border, and there's been a problem for decades and decades, and every administration has come through here and no one has fixed it. It ballooned in this last administration, and that's what the people voted on, a referendum on that. Because right now, one thing I've never understood, and I actually think we'll wait to see how this looks, but either we have laws at the border or we don't. We're asking people to get in line to come into this country while incentivizing people not waiting in the line. You also have Tim Walz signed into legislation in Minnesota that allowed undocumented immigrants to receive free in-state tuition. All of these are lovely in spirit, but there are people that can't pay for food for their own families. In New York, they were giving $500 meal cards. And obviously, we want to help someone for the humane interest. But there's a lifeboat here. And I think the rage about the border was also people here that are maybe insecure, homeless at times, making ends meet. And they don't have they can't send their kid to college.
And again, Sonny is not going to hear of this because they have an excuse for all of this. We don't give money to homeless like we should. Today is Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to everyone who has served, and thank you for your service. But we don't give to the veterans. Most of them are homeless. Here in DC, it is mostly veterans that are on the street, veteran males, okay? But we can give to migrants who are supposedly coming over here for seeking asylum. And there are other people who have come over here and did it the legal way, did it the right way, and they don't get what these migrants are getting. Meanwhile, they're in Chicago starting businesses. They're in New York taking over apartments. They're in New York starting bodegas. I mean, on food stamps and, debit cards. Like, these ladies are the worst.
The outrage of what I saw the voters say.
Perhaps the problem was then the voters should have said, why didn't we pass the legislation that they had put together? because it was both sides saying, here's what we have. The Border Patrol agents were saying, this is a good deal for us. And it was stopped. I'm going to repeat that. It was stopped by the man who's just been elected president.
No, ma'am. Why do these ladies do this? That like, this is making me like, oh my gosh. Like, oh my gosh. You guys keep saying that it was stopped. This was 3.5 years later. What did they do from 2021? What did they do? Nothing. Right? And so you guys are just missing it. All of that kept going on. It was already, why take off what was already in place? So you don't want to admit that they caused the problem and then try to fix it later to run on it and then say, oh, Donald Trump destroyed it. No, Donald Trump did not destroy it. What happened was you guys, meaning Democrats, tried to be slick and get all of these people in to get a whole nother demographic to replace other minority groups, okay, that are no longer voting democratic, okay. You're trying to use them to these corporations that need cheap labor, okay. We understand what's going on, which is why you were ousted. But Whoopi still has Trump derangement syndrome, okay. It's ABC, so I get it. Anna definitely has Trump derangement syndrome. Again, she's a Cuban person. I'm a Cuban person. And we all know Cuban people tend to vote Republican. And she says she's a Republican, but she's a leftist, if you ask me. Okay, she's a leftist. I don't care if she's only voted for 3 Democrats, so she says. And last but not least, Sonny is deranged, period. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up.
He stopped that. So if you want to talk about the problems at the border, when people come to you with solutions, once you turn them into a politics of solutions, it's an issue.
But I saw this statistic during the elections, and I think I was in the New York Times, that said that when Trump said things, people didn't think it applied to them. Yeah. So in the last few days, I got a call from a couple of people, friends of mine, people very close to me in Miami, big Trumpers, who are worried now about what's going to happen to their undocumented nannies that help them raise their children. So I told them that I suggested they learn how to clean their kids' ass. And people who think,
sometimes I really don't know what to think of these ladies. They are just like, if you don't do what they want you to do, then whatever you get or whatever happens to you, it's, oh, well, they're just evil people. Like, why would you talk to your friend like that? It's crazy.
I think that there is this sort of feeling in America that undocumented immigrants are taking their jobs. There's this.
They are, Sonny. Just like I just gave you the facts. They are. Like literally the Haitians are being hired in Ohio at factories and other people are not, and regular Americans are not being hired. Here we go.
Feeling like you mentioned that, there are American citizens suffering because other funds are being given to undocumented immigrants. But the fact of the matter is undocumented immigrants paid approximately $96.7 billion in federal, state, and local taxes in 2022. And so that is very significant because they pay into things like Social Security, they pay into things like Medicaid, but they don't get the benefits. So the notion somehow that they're taking away from American citizens, they're really giving to this country.
It doesn't mean they're taking away, but people that are simultaneously suffering, the outrage of people that are struggling to put food on the table aren't saying, they're just saying, why aren't we getting some help over here?
I think that they don't know that immigrants are paying these taxes.
In part, the reason.
It doesn't matter. They're not American citizens. They're not supposed to be here. We're giving them $4,000 a month. They have debit cards. They're not supposed to have it. They're not supposed to have it. You can give it to American citizens. What don't Sonny get about it? She gets on my nerves.
Reason that you're not getting is because there have been so many cuts. Mm-hmm. There have been cuts. Forget to immigration. There have been cuts just to people. You pay more taxes now than you paid 20 years ago. I think, because every time you turn around, somebody's got a tax for you, whether it's on the back of your phone thing, you know, there's taxes, and you think, what is the bone chilling on my toenail tax for? Because it came out of nowhere and you don't know what it is. There are all kinds of taxes everywhere. There's lots to unpack here, but blaming undocumented workers is not, it's not the solution.
So you guys heard all of that. You heard Whoopi and company talk about illegal immigration as if it's not an issue. Okay. But I beg to differ. Trump begs to differ. And their favorite, Barack Obama, begs to differ. Look what he said about illegal immigration when he was in office. Here we go.
Raza President Janet Murguia signaled the height of Hispanic American anger at U.S. President Barack Obama, saying, quote, "For us, this president has been the deporter in chief." Around the country, immigrant advocates have rallied and marched to stop Obama's policies, which have led to nearly 2 million deportations of undocumented immigrants.
The deportations are getting more aggressive.
They're going to have to earn their way to it. And they're going to have to go to the back of the line. We're going to have to clear out the existing lines, backlog that we have in terms of legal immigrants, because they did it the right way. We shouldn't punish them for not breaking the law. Our message absolutely is don't send your children unaccompanied on trains or through a bunch of smugglers. We don't even know how many of these kids don't make it and may have been waylaid into sex trafficking or killed because they fell off a train. We have no way of tracking that. So that is our direct message to the families in Central America. Do not send your children to the borders. If they do make it, they'll get sent back. More importantly, they may not make it.
President Obama has now asked Congress for nearly $4 billion. He said it's to help stem the flow of undocumented immigrants pouring across the southern border. Republicans and Democrats both say something needs to be done. The president also says he wants Congress to let immigration officials deport more children without delay.
The Border Patrol allowed only one video camera into holding centers in Nogales and in McAllen, Texas. It comes out as Border Patrol faces claims of bad conditions for the children. Not in your sides, Craig Smith was able to take his own tour of the Nogales complex, and he joins us live from Nogales.
Guy, a large group of reporters was allowed to come into this facility in Nogales, but under strict ground rules as a condition for entry. No cameras, at least no cameras we control directly, no sound recordings of any sort, and no questions. What we saw does track what we saw in pictures taken in secret days before. Kids in chain link holding areas using foil blankets. But now we have context and explanation. Agents say the foil blankets, for instance, reduce the chance of allergic reactions. They say the facility was not set up hastily to cope with a glut of immigrant children. They say it is a facility built about the year 2000 for adult detainees, converted when the need arose to house hundreds of children. There are systems set up for showers and clean clothes every 24 hours, health checks, healthful meals, and opportunities for play. The El Salvador government sent a senior official to check on the children from that country.
Naturally, as a government, we're concerned that the minors are being treated this way. We're not accusing the government of the United States that they're not trying their best efforts, but more can be done.
No one suggested it's a great situation, but why did Border Patrol wait so long to offer a look to refute claims of abuse? Border Patrol did not answer that question during the tour, so we asked Agent Art Del Cuerto of the Border Patrol Union.
You know what I think? I think a lot of it has to do, and unfortunately, I see it all the time as a union representative. You always get the bad news out first, right? They weren't calling the shots. They were coming from D.C. It's up to D.C. That's something that you guys are seriously going to have to ask, people up in D.C.
Now, that union rep says agents caring for the children volunteered for that duty, but he worries that because they are not out there on the front lines, that border protection itself is likely to suffer. We'll hear more on that new at 6. Reporting live from Nogales, Craig Smith, KGUN 9. on your side.
All right, so you guys just seen that. Obama has the title of deporter-in-chief for a reason. He deported the most, and I do mean the most, people in U.S. history, okay? In more than 40 years, Obama deported almost 10 million people, okay? With over 1,000 people a day, with over 500,000 a year. Obama is the deporter-in-chief. So by all means, if we're going to talk about mass deportation, you can talk to Obama. He set the stage for it, as well as those kids in cages, all right, kids sleeping on the floor. I just showed you all of those from the Obama administration. This is not new. This is why you have to fact check these people on legacy media, because they like to lie and they don't like to tell you the truth. He deported children as well, as I just showed you. He had the children in cages before Trump even came, all right, and didn't want to allow people in to even see it. I don't understand why people just don't do their research before they go talking. But that's why I'm here, because I pull up the facts. I'll go and show you that this came from Democrats. Democrats set that stage. Democrats did mass deportations. Democrats are the ones who were behind this. And now all of a sudden, when Trump's in, it's World War III when it comes to mass deportation. But I could be wrong. So let me know. Hey, do you agree with, the view and their view on mass deportations under Trump, that you effed around and found out, and this is what you voted for, and he's evil, and Homan is evil, and everybody's just under the Trump administration just evil, evil, evil? Or are you like me and understand that this has happened before under Barack Obama, and they were fine with it? Nobody complained, all right, except for the people that were getting deported, calling him deporter-in-chief. Again, just look up the facts. Simple as that. Like, comment, and subscribe. It's your girl, Mika. Go ahead and watch some of my other videos. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. You can support as well. Cash App officially Mika, or you can support with a super thanks and a super chat as well. Thank you for watching. It's your girl, Mika, and I'm out. Peace.